All right, now to a scene that everybody remembers where they were 20 years ago to the day. We all remember this here. And if you were a Knick fan, and I'm going to start with you on this one, Dominic, remember finals going on, and all of a sudden, I know everybody claimed there was 18,000 people at the Garden when this was going on. 5 million people claimed to have been there, right? But in the middle of the game, all of a sudden, you have a picture-in-picture. Look at poor Anthony Mason. I mean, he's a quarter of the screen. But they were saying people even in the Garden were climbing over seats to try and, in the middle of the game, to watch on those little, monitors they had, the concession stands. You remember where you were?
I believe I was at home, of course, watching the game. And, you could only conclude watching this video that OJ Simpson was fully guilty. He had basically left a suicide note, and the only question was he going to blow his brains out on live television?
And let's be honest, that's why people, Andrew, were watching this thing in huge numbers. It had more people watching than had watched the Super Bowl. It had gotten 97 some odd million people, and at the time that was like Super Bowl ratings. People were wanting to see, some people at least, a live execution on TV.
I think there may have been some element of that, but the whole thing was just so wildly unpredictable and so wildly unexpected. Remember, until this, O.J. Simpson was beloved. I mean, he was incredibly popular. He was a Hall of Fame football player. He was a sportscaster on ABC and on NBC. He was an actor. He was doing the Avis ads. Avis or Hertz? I forget.
I think it was Hertz, running through airports and so on.
He was a very popular guy. And so the fact that this would have happened, and then, oh my goodness, he's the suspect, and then, oh my goodness,
where were you?
He's gone missing, and then the chase pops up and the whole thing. I had just left Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore. The Orioles played their game. I don't even remember if they won or lost. I was with my sister and her husband. We went to a friend's house to watch the game, and I was yelling at the screen, "Put the game back on." Yeah. There's 12 other channels to get the chase on.
And yourself?
I was at a bar restaurant having a hamburger, and I couldn't figure out why they just had this white car on the television. And I kept saying, what's the story with the white car? And people say, well, that's OJ, he's driving. I said, well, I know. So we didn't hear about the suicide. And I paid a little attention, got home, and he was still driving. And I said, oh, this must be news.
Well, speaking of news, this is before there was a Fox News and MS. CNN, this made, they had a lot of stories that made them, but people forget what the landscape was like 20 years ago. In many ways, this is the birth of reality TV.
In many ways it was, and it also seems that it's the modern day start of whenever a driver's gone bad, and whatever city you may be in, immediately they interrupt television coverage, or at least the news channels. We have this car who's driving along Route 405 in Los Angeles or whatever, but it did in many, because it was almost like a reality TV show. OJ, what is he going to do? He's not jumping through airports right now, but is he going to kill himself? Is he going to turn himself into authorities? Start of a modern-day reality TV show.
In all likelihood, the guy would be tweeting or he'd be Instagramming. Or if you play this into the social media aspect today, first of all, it's global, right? And second of all, probably 20 different television channels are doing it, maybe 40 all simultaneously. But there would be even more immediacy to this thing, and it's not just what Al Cowling or whatever is going to be saying on the phone. The guy probably in real time is keeping you, I don't know.
I try to figure out how Fox would paint this as being Obama's fault.
God. We can go on and on. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
But Richard, as you're about to move on, I've just never understood this fascination with O.J. Simpson. I don't get it.
That's, to be fair, we have a long history of celebrities who have gone bad and celebrities who have been accused of terrible crimes, and there's always a fascination about it. The celebrity, we've always had that celebrity culture.
But for the black community to be so excited when he was acquitted, and I get the argument of, blacks have been treated unfairly in the court system. I get that. But O.J. Simpson had no ties to the black community. O.J. Simpson was juice.
But you know why? Every week, it seemed, some different player got in, from the Kato Kalin, the house guest, right, to telegenic families that would come on the thing, and then new players would get involved. For people who wanted real-time soap operas without knowing where this thing could go, and then you had the dynamic attorneys and the Johnny Cochrans of the rest, and then there was the Darden and the Marsha Clarks, and had something going on the side. Remember, this is bizarre. And Judge Ito, I mean, all these names, I can't believe I remember them all, right?
The trial was on TV, and people watched it at home like it was a judge show, and they realized this isn't like Matlock at all. This is very complicated.
The whole thing was over the top.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, in every respect it was. And I loved O.J. Simpson. His personality, good looking, movie star. I mean, so you have an interest, but it just got so overwhelming. And I just think it would. But you know, today if they were doing it, they'd have a selfie there, or a video while he was driving down the road, or Skyped or something.
Selfie. All right, tomorrow night we're going to be talking about this with my roundtable of attorneys and how in any ways this may have changed the law or the public's perception of how the justice system works. Okay, when we come back, a lot of updates in New York politics. We're going to head up to Albany and tell you what happened and didn't happen today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.